Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Resurgence meta here in Season 5 of Warzone is super competitive. The weapon balancing changes that were made make things even tighter when it comes to the close range, when it comes to the long range. And so today, we are breaking down the top 5 best loadouts you want to be running, specifically built around Resurgence style gameplay. And we're starting off with a loadout that I've been having a ton of fun with. It is the 7.62, which we go between full auto and semi-auto because this is especially lethal in Resurgence, length engagements where it's a bit more close range. You can get away with using this full auto and it fries. Then the MP5 or the Lachmann sub, a phenomenal SMG. Before we get into the actual attachments for these though, just real quick, lethals, tacticals, perks on every single setup, it's the exact same. Smokes, because they are the answer to everything. You can rotate with them, you can cover with them, you can revive with those. Throwing knives, obviously we want those insta finishes so we can get those pings. Then perks, I'm going for overkill, double time, fast hands, and high alert. Super solid setup here between everything. It's going to give you obviously both your primaries, some better movement time, the faster reload, which is super clutch, then obviously those pings when someone is looking at you. So love all of that. But getting into the actual attachments here, the 7.62, like I said, we're trying to use this in full auto as much as we can because it's got that broken TTK. And for Resurgence, you can actually use this in some decent gunfights and not be fighting at 100 meters where you're not going to be able to hit anything because the recoil is too much. So this is perfect for Resurgence. You get those longer range fights, you can always flip over to semi-auto and you're good to go, right? So I got the META V4 optic, always tuned for that furthest eye position and faster ADS. The 50 round drum, you never have to worry about reloading. Ripper is especially clutch in semi-auto, but it also helps out in full auto with that better stabilization, just making the gun easier to predict. The bore 490, which helps out a lot with horizontal control, which in full auto is going to be a lot more noticeable, so it makes the pattern a bit more predictable as well. Then the rat barrel for better control and better velocity here, just helping out that mid to long range, making it a little bit more efficient there. This thing is just absolutely absurd and super dominant right now. And then you pair it with the MP5 and you're set for the close range, right? You can fly and fry with this thing. I got the TCG-10 rear grip for the better control. I go ahead and I tune this for the inverse of better mobility, so we're getting a lot of stats out of one singular attachment here. 50 round drum, your basic extended mag. Overpressured ammo is a great choice, as is frangible. It's really just pick your poison here. This will stop health regen a little bit, which is nice, so enemies can't always run away from you. This will cause enemies to miss some shots on you because they have extra flinch. I also got the 7 milliwatt laser, pretty much a standard for all my SMGs, better ADS and sprint to fire. And then the Falcon barrel for the better movement speed and ADS speed, just making this even snappier, even more aggressive as an SMG, which of course you'll love to see. Setup 2 here is similar in a handful of ways because it's also another battle rifle mixed with an SMG. Here we got the SO14, which again for Resurgence, you can flop between fully auto and semi-auto, and it's going to be great in either mode. Then the ISO, arguably the best SMG right now, right? So ISO setup here is going to be pretty standard and snappy as ever. Super aggressive, great mobility, but a fantastic TTK at the same time. 45 round extended mag, very basic there. Sheer rear grip for the better ADS and better sprint to fire. We got the Cheetah stock on here for a bunch of better mobility benefits. Sprint speed, crouch speed, which doesn't really matter as much, strafe speed and ADS speed, that's all huge on an SMG. 7 milliwatt laser yet again there. And then I go for the KT85. You could drop this and use an optic if you don't like the iron sights, but this will help out with some control, make it a bit more stable, especially if you're fighting, 15, 20, 25 meters. Just easier to stay on target, and I really like the feel of this. Overall, it just ties the weapon together nicely. This thing is going to just melt players up close. And then you got the SO14, and like I said, you can use this in full auto again because of the Resurgence length engagements. It's usable there. The recoil is not too overwhelming, or you could use it in semi-auto if you got a good trigger finger, and it's going to melt players regardless, right? The thing is just that strong. So again, we got the META V4, 50 round drum, Ripper underbarrel here, which is great in semi-auto, but also helps out in the full auto, just like over on the 7.62. Bore Master barrel, which is going to help out with control, range, and velocity, that 3-in-1 combo that is so lethal here with primaries that are meant for mid to long range. Then the Sakin Tread 40, just basic control here, helps out primarily with vertical, but it helps out some horizontal as well, so just going to make the weapon a lot more predictable and easy to use over range. Fantastic primary, especially for Resurgence style gameplay. As we continue on with the loadouts, by the way, if you guys are new to the channel, every day I got you covered with meta breakdowns, news, patch notes, you name it, it's going to be right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. And if you guys enjoyed this video, or if you find it helpful at all, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Would be really appreciated. Also, shout out to my friends over at Gamer Advantage. when I say this, I mean it. They are the most essential part of my day-to-day setup. It's not the controllers, the keyboards, the monitors, whatever the case may be. These are what keep me going day to day because they're going to reduce my eye strain and my headaches, which of course I'm staring at screens all day long, editing, playing games. They're also going to help me sleep better at night so I can wake up feeling nice and refreshed the next day. They offer prescription or regular lenses, and they got plenty of different frame options as well. Quite literally something for everyone. So if you guys want to get a pair for yourself, throw in code immortal at checkout. It'll get you a little discount. You can also check out my very own WhosImmortal custom bundle with Gamer Advantage, which has my own custom cleaning cloth, sticker, and a few other accessories. Getting into the next loadout here, we got the TAQ-V, which is probably my favorite primary right now, and the Vaznev, another phenomenal SMG, up there with the MP5 and the ISO as well. The TAQ-V setup here, it's got a decent amount of recoil, but even for full auto, it still is pretty manageable, especially for resurgence length yet again. And if you wanted to use this in semi-auto, you could flip it there, and it's also going to be very good. The battle rifles are just dominant right now, if you couldn't tell. Aimbot V4 on here yet again. The combat rear grip straight up for better recoil control. That said, if you are just really comfortable with this setup, you could drop this and throw on high velo. The lack of velocity is somewhat noticeable, not as much on resurgence as it is on like Al Mazrah, but it's there from time to time. High velo on any setup is going to be nice. It just depends on your level of skill with the gun. But anyways, I got the 50 round drum on here, pretty standard. The Ripper underbarrel for that better stabilization yet again. Then I go for the Talon suppressor. You could use a compensator here, but you're gonna be missing out on even more velocity, which could affect some of your longer range fights. But this helps out with a little bit of control, range, and velo as well, which is super clutch for a mid to long range primary. So you're kind of touching on everything here. Some of the range, some of the control, and the power sort of speaks for itself. Then for the Vaznev, a setup that you guys probably have memorized by now because it just has not changed in so long because, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We got the 45 round mag here, your basic extended mag, true TAQ rear grip for the better mobility here, the Atrazat stock for even more mobility on here, the Ole laser for even more mobility, but then because the damage drop off is a bit sharp here on the Vaznev compared to some other subs, I do use the CAS-1 barrel for a slightly better damage range, and this can actually save you in some close range fights because you're going to be in that first damage drop off and not that second one, which is going to require a couple of extra shots to kill. So it is a pretty clutch attachment, and of course it doesn't slow you down too much because everything else is helping out with mobility. Now, not everything revolves around the battle rifles and SMGs. This is a bit more of an experimental loadout, but one that I've found to be very fun, and I found a lot of success with it as well. It's a double rifle ammo setup, so you just got to be mindful, store some extra ammo in your backpack, but the Sakin and the Honey Badger together for the Chimera work really, really well. So for the Sakin, this is low recoil. It's going to be able to fry over super long ranges as a primary. For Resurgence or Al Mazrah, it's going to work well. So I got the Stip 40 rear grip, focusing on some control here. As always, Aimbot V4, nothing out of the ordinary there. Edge 47, I don't feel like you need to go up to Ripper here because the recoil and the stability is already so easy on the Sakin. You can get away with just simply using Edge. Polar Fire S suppressor for the better velo and range. No added control on this because it's not a heavier suppressor, and frankly, you don't really need it because we also have the Silver Series barrel, which helps out with better control, better velocity, better range, even offers some better pizza from Papa John's from time to time. It's just a great barrel for mid to long range gunfights, just optimizes this weapon even more. If you're comfortable with the gun, you could try dropping either the underbarrel, rear grip, or barrel for high velo if you really value that on a setup, but for Resurgence, this is going to work just fine. And then the Honey Badger, the Chimera here, this is meant to be a replacement to your SMGs. It'll be a little bit slower, but it's going to fry up close, and it just got a buff, which is really nice to see. So here I got the 45 round extended mag, very basic there. Ruin Flash rear grip for the better ADS and sprint to fire to speed it up some. Same deal with the 7 milliwatt laser as well. Now, if you're comfortable with the control here, you don't have to use the Tango underbarrel. I like the feel of it, but it's not totally necessary. You could drop this and maybe use a compensator. You could go for like the Ravage 10 stock or even the M13 stock if you wanted to. Up to you though. Then lastly, I go for the Vorpal barrel for the better mobility as well. So pretty much we're just trying to speed this thing up because it's already got the damage profile of a rifle, so that means it's gonna fry if you're hitting your shots. You just want to be snappy and aggressive since this is your close range gun. Then lastly, here we got another fun combo, the 7.62 as our primary, and then the newly buffed BAS-P as a secondary, which you can build out in a bunch of different ways. But as far as the 7.62 goes, this again works perfectly for Resurgence. It's got a bit of control, but in the Resurgence distances, misses, it's not going to be as noticeable, but it's got a phenomenal TTK and is the fastest killing rifle in the game, basically, especially if you're able to land some headshots, right? So we got AMOT V4, we got the 40 round mag. In this case, I do use high velocity. I like the feel of it on the 7.62, but if you're, saying, okay, I'm in Resurgence, I'm gonna be fighting at 40 meters, 50 meters, I don't always need that, you could drop that and put on like the CAS-10 barrel if you wanted to as well. Ripper under barrel for the better stabilization, very standard there. Then the Talon suppressor once more for the better velo range and the slight bit of better control because this is a heavier suppressor, gonna make it a little bit more predictable and easy to use. Again, optimizing it for the mid to long range. Then the BAS-P, like I said, you could build this out a million different ways. This is the setup that I enjoy. I don't really love the iron sights. I've kind of been trying to force myself to use them, but for the absolute best loadout, I wouldn't be using them because I'm not like sort of super familiar with them yet, but I go for the blue dot here. If you like the irons, you could drop this. You could use a stock, you could use a barrel if you wanted to, but the blue dot works for me. 7mm laser for the faster ADS and sprint to fire. Bruin flash rear grip for the same deal there. 50 round drum. And then I like overpressured ammo on here. I feel like that feels pretty consistent, but there are some good barrel options. Like I said, if you want to go for more of a sniper support build, the SZ would work. If you wanted to go for a faster build, the Drake would work. The Thunderfire is a little too fast for my liking, so I don't feel like that one's really all that necessary. You could even go for a stock though if you wanted to as well. I would like the flash for the better mobility on here. That's a really good choice too. You really can try out a lot of different attachments by flipping out one or two of these and mixing and matching, and the thing's gonna feel really good, especially in like the 10 to 25 meter range. Up close, it's gonna be a little slower than like the ISO or the Vaz, but in the mid range, it really starts to thrive, and it's a great option for Resurgence, as are all the loadouts in this video. And if you enjoyed them, if you found it helpful at all, let me know by dropping a like on the video itself. And if you guys are new here, you want to guarantee you're always up to date with news, updates, meta breakdowns, everything going on in COD, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.